Welcome to the Past Lives Cafe. I am your host, Chione, an intuitive energy worker and acclaimed past life regressionist. Come with me as we journey through the spiral of time to forgotten places. I'm so happy to have a good friend of mine joining me here today. She is a creative hairstylist, a successful business owner. She's owned the Bella Moda Salon in the Baltimore metropolitan area for coming up on 20 years. And that is how I met my friend, Valerie Cooper. And the one thing that is important to know is that Valerie used to talk with me about my spiritual journey. And we trade stories on ghosts and signs and angel numbers. And we traded books and articles and links. And I also know that she happened to have at least one very successful past life regression in Baltimore. And then she was so kind to let me intern with her when I was learning QHHT. I thought she would be a perfect person to interview because she is spiritually connected and her perspective is always, always welcome. Thank you, Valerie.
You're welcome.
So, Valerie, I know that you've been on a spiritual journey, but I thought it would be very interesting for you to share kind of what started you on your spiritual journey and all of the interesting ways that you connect with spirit.
It's hard to think about what got me started. I think I've always just had a interest in anyone's stories and past life experiences, spiritual journeys, you name it. We talked about that a lot. Anything like the Reiki, anything spiritually related, I've just had a fascination and interest with. I can't explain that. So I've read and read and read, and the more I read, the more I want to read. I don't know. One thing just stumbled into another. I can't really tell you how it began.
At least as far as you and I having known each other, I've always heard you say that you've had some level of awareness. I remember the one story you told me about when your grandmother passed away
Hmm.
and how you noticed that her picture kept
Hmm.
falling down. And you knew just instinctively and intuitively that that was a sign to you.
Hmm. At first, I didn't. I just kept noticing that that picture on a table of pictures kept falling over right after she passed, and we were really close. And she and I talked about signs. I think she was like me, and maybe that's where I get it from, as far as notice signs herself. And she and I and our family talked about that. So I think if anyone would give me a sign, it would be her. And I didn't really put two and two together until I noticed it was just her picture that kept falling over. And as soon as I noticed that, and I was like, the light bulb went off. You got it, and it never happened again. She was just telling me, I know it was her because the frame was fine, it wasn't flimsy, it was sturdy and metal. So I know it was her. I just know in my gut.
Plus, it was on a table with others that weren't falling.
Exactly. And even my husband noticed it kept falling and he would straighten it up. And I was just complaining about it out loud as I was setting it up another time. And he's like, I keep fixing that too. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, it's my grandmother's picture. And then it never happened anymore. So I just know he knows too, I think. And he was a non-believer, but the more things that happened to me, I've had witnesses. How do you explain it? That's why I'm such a big believer, because I think a lot of people say to you, oh, you're just looking for signs. You're looking for signs. No, I think when you're open to it, they're coming to you, you're seeing it, and then you're believing it more. I think the closed off people are getting the signs too. They're just not taking them for what they are.
Right. It is a level of awareness that
Mhm.
the sign has been delivered to you. But the last time I was with you, you showed me something that was hanging on your bulletin board that
Mhm.
couldn't have been dropped. Was it the grocery store?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So I asked my dad several years before he passed, because my grandmother sparked this. I said, Dad, I would call him and say, I got another sign from Grandma. I know it's her. I just know it's her because it was the picture started the whole thing and then never doubted me, but not really a believer. So that day I said, Dad, I want to set a sign for each of us. If I go first, this is what, you tell me what you want. And I asked him to show me an accordion because it's something that I never see or hear on the radio. And I just knew it would be him if he sent it to me. So I'm walking down the aisle of the grocery store and I see a picture. It's from a card that I found soon after he passed that had an accordion in it. And it's that accordion that was torn out of the card. And it was on the middle of the floor as I'm walking. And it's just a picture of an accordion.
How do you explain that? It was right in front of you.
It was right on the floor in my walking path. There's no explanation with that. And my husband was with me. He's seen a lot of these signs with me. We're in a Target parking lot, and there's a man playing an accordion in a Pennsylvania town where there's nothing around. I've never seen that before. And since then, I've seen another accordion player in Owings Mills, another state, in a parking lot at TJ Maxx that I frequent. It happened.
That's crazy. And that TJ Maxx in Owings Mills, Maryland, for those of you who don't know, that's very busy area. And to have an accordion player.
Even a guitar player, I've never seen it. So why in a busy city? This is just a little town. It's nothing. Like, I've never seen it. It's just unbelievable. He's given
Right.
me.
Like, what are the odds, right?
How can someone not be a believer when it's thrown in your face? I'm not going to look for things like that. I don't know if I told you that day that I saw the first accordion player in the Owings Mills parking lot, something was telling me to go there that day. And I was trying to talk myself out of it. And that's another thing. People have to say your gut is something. I don't know that it's you. I think it's whatever the divine telling you or guiding you to do something, because I was talking myself in and out of going there that day. And I was meant to see that accordion player. There's no doubt in my mind. And I only decided to turn. I told myself, if that light is green, I'm going to turn. But if not, I'm going straight home. And the light was green that day. So I'm like, okay, I'll go. And darned if I didn't see that. And that was a month after my dad passed. That was the second. The card was the first one. So how do you explain it?
And you and I used to always say there are no coincidences, that the light would turn green and that you would see that. It is like a divine lineup.
Mm-hmm. Only a couple of times in my life have I had that. I wouldn't say that I'm psychic. I wish I were, but I do have a strong intuition, and I do believe it's someone or something nudging me to do something. And I've learned just from that, go there today, go there today. You have nothing else going on. No one's at home waiting for you. It's a beautiful sunny day. This is the time to go there to get what you need. I was looking for something for a trip, and that light is always red, and it's a long one, and that's a busy road. Yeah, I just want to go home, something said, just go, just go. And that's happened like two or three other times where I was pushed to do something. I thought, I'm not going to fight it anymore. I've learned that. And then I've gotten a sign wherever I went after I've been nudged to do something. So I don't know what that is. I mean, maybe it's a little bit of a psychic intuition, but I can't read for someone. I wish I could. But that's why I feel so strongly about this, because of how do you not accept these things, that come to you? You find out what you're meant to see behind it. And how do you not believe after that? I just don't understand how people can question it.
I think what you're saying is important because people want to see or hear or connect in a way that is super obvious, like how it is on the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And you get that feeling or that compulsion that you just have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And is it like an idea that comes in your mind and it won't go away? Or is it like you kept saying, you feel it in your gut that this is the right thing to do?
The times that it's happened to go somewhere where I thought, I'm being lazy. I'd rather just go home, lay down. I'm tired. But something's just fighting with me. No, don't go home and do it today. Do it now. You have nothing else going on. That's happened like 3 times that I can think of. That was the first one. So it's like I'm having a thought, but something else is not arguing with me, but persuading me to not do what I want to do the other. So now I'm going to trust that because something good is always followed. I end up doing what I don't want to do and something good comes out of it. you know?
Right. That's it. That's the moral of the story
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
So you and I had gone to see a very prominent psychic medium that works out and lives out in the Baltimore area. When
Mm-hmm.
you and I had gone there, we both noticed a card that said that past life regressions were also being done by a family member of the psychic medium. You had a very interesting experience. Tell us about that experience and the impact that it had on you afterwards. You make connections about, oh, this must mean why I am so, in this example, such a successful business person.
Actually, I think you helped me to understand. Let me tell you what happened. First of all, I never thought that I would be one that was able to be hypnotized. It's not that I don't believe in it, because I believe anything's possible, but I just didn't think I'd be able to. We go in the room, it's quiet. I'm sitting in a nice, comfortable chair, blanket, lights off, nice music playing. For one, I never felt like I was going to do anything I didn't want to do. I felt completely wide awake like I do now. Leads me into how I get to a past life. And I can't even explain. It still boggles my mind what happened with that. So he brought me into 3 different past lives. And you're the one that put the connection together and made me think of what the correlation is between those 3 past lives that we got to. In each one, they were completely different places, time periods. What they all had in common was that I was worried about my family in 3 different ways, but each one, you're the one that helped me figure that out. In each lifetime, I believe that family's always been something I worry about. I work too much. A lot of people tell me that I work too much and work always comes first. I'm trying with age to not do that so much because family should come first. But I think that's why I was so driven.
Human nature is interesting. You may think that convincing someone that past lives are legit or valid might be the biggest hurdle. What they don't believe is that they can be different genders or different races or even a different,
Mhm.
not human. You might be an animal, you might be a cloud, you might be a tree. But you had the experience where in one life that you saw, you were a man that I think it was like the Wild West
It was a
period
I was
where you were in a saloon, right?
a cowboy in a saloon.
Yes, that's right. You were worried about money and having enough to take care of your family, if I recall.
Yeah, I do. I remember it vividly. Getting a picture of it in this past life regression. I'm like, am I making this up? I would get stuck for a second, and then all of a sudden, things would come to me. Just things were flooding into my brain. It's so bizarre. The neatest experience I've ever had. I didn't know if I was this cowboy. I could see the whole thing happening in front of me, but I could read his mind. I knew what his thoughts were, and I knew I was that person. And in his head, he was sitting there having a drink in a saloon and he was worried. I knew he was worried. And I saw like flashes of his wife, and that's what he was worried about, taking care of her. He loved her so much. I knew he loved her so much. And he just knew, I think maybe he was losing his job. I don't know, but I knew he was worried about taking care of her. That's what I got out of that lifetime.
That was the thread. And the one that Valerie was super generous of her time to help me when I was interning, becoming a QHHT practitioner. And the life that she saw was of a female in a rural setting, but there was kind of a village feeling, if I recall, Valerie. And there was some sort of violence going on, even though this was back 17, 1800s. But there was a violence going on where you were super concerned about getting back to your family to make sure they were okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I remember one of the things that we learn when we're learning to do QHHT is that the term for feeling like you know what someone is thinking is called somnambulism. A lot of people think somnambulism is where you're dropped into hypnosis so deeply that you act like a chicken and don't realize it because the hypnotist tells you to.
Mm-hmm.
And
No,
that's not what it is.
not at
And
all.
never once did you cluck when I asked you to. No. In fact, I was playing with her cat the whole time that we were going through that session, which I love that cat. And I'm so glad he's home now. But anyway, the cool thing with that was she could tell on Valerie's face that she was feeling this urgency to get back, to get back home. And then I think you ended up going into town, or I remember you were walking or you were on a dirt road, which kind of told us the time period. And you were going into town to find out what had happened, that some people that you had known in your kind of rural neighborhood had come upon violence. I don't remember all the details exactly, except that one thread of trying to get home.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a couple of other lives that we could go into as well. But when Valerie said that thread of being concerned about her family and providing and having a level of responsibility, whether she was the female, whether she was the male, whether she was the adult. And in one case, I recall you were, I think, Polynesian
Yeah,
child.
yeah, in Hawaii.
And the same type of thread there about being away from family, or but there was that level of needing that family connection. And when we were talking about it, I was thinking, wow, it's so interesting that in every single life that you shared with me, that you had this sense of needing to provide and needing to protect, no matter what age, what gender, what time period. That was the thread in your life. Like you mentioned, it kind of helped you say, okay, this overworking or being a hardworking individual maybe is something that has followed you because of some of these experiences throughout many lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
And now you are in a good place. You're a very successful business owner. You're not losing your job. You have a beautiful family around you. So you can take time to go on vacation with family members, be with your husband, be with your children, your grandchildren, and just enjoy instead of feeling so concerned about providing. But when you didn't work, Valerie, like if you had to take a day off, there was a period of time when your health was going through some things. Did you feel bad or guilty or nervous or
Oh, nervous, anxious.
nervous?
I
Mm.
I think, and that's what made it worse. Absolutely, absolutely. That I was panic stricken.
Isn't that interesting? And you had no reason to be, but yet it was just this inside anxiety that
Yeah,
you felt.
yeah. And what's crazy is I kept that like secret from my clients, and I lost so much weight because I was so sick, and everybody thought I was just trying, like, Val, you got to stop working out, you got to stop, and I lived not even 2 miles from my job, and I had to have someone drive me. That's how anxious and panic stricken I was. But then I'd get to work and shut it off. I never took any time off. I don't even know, looking back, I don't know how I did that. The older I get, the more I'm like, what in the world? I'm learning to relax a little bit.
It
I'm like,
had to happen sometime, right?
yeah, it did. I mean, but I still worry about that. And I still am really, really hard on my girls to, I want them to be successful enough. They don't have to make a ton of money. I just want them to always be able to take care of themselves. Like that's my goal in life. Don't depend on anybody. You need to be able to provide for yourself. Thankfully, Selena's already there. She's doing excellent. Ava's only 15. That's my goal. I'll relax when I know that they're okay and they're successful, I guess. But, where they can do that, not depend on anyone. And it's just
Right.
that's my biggest fear in life. I don't know why. Like I said, I don't know why. It still boggles my mind. Sometimes you second guess were they my past lives? But it is interesting how I'm like that in this one. I don't know. It's wild.
So you just asked the perfect question, perfect segue to one of the questions I had for you. Do you believe in past lives, or do you believe it's kind of a construct, or maybe your deepest fears maybe manifesting in a vision?
That's a good question. I never thought about it like that, but I think I do. I do believe in past lives. I do. I don't know why I question if I have any or my own because I believe in, yeah, I just do. I've read a lot of things that make me sway that way. Yes.
I think the one thing that makes me feel more confident that past lives exist is what you said about feeling like that cowboy that was in the saloon. You
Hmm.
felt like him. You
Hmm.
felt like this urgency about needing to take care of your wife, about having so many responsibilities and being so worried about it. Because I think when you can step into someone else's shoes just so clearly,
Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever felt another gender in this life. I know there are people who do feel gender fluid, but I don't recall you and I ever having that discussion. So for you to be able to feel like a man and having male or masculine worries and responsibilities is what makes me think either you're super connected that way or that really happened to you.
Yeah. I guess we'll never know until we're on the other side. And I do believe on another side. So why not believe that you're sent here for a purpose? I think every life is, even if we just live one, we're here for a reason. And what is that reason? To learn something. And I believe that if you don't learn it in this lifetime, maybe you're sent back to learn it or re-experience it, maybe in a different body, whatever, different time period, but you're going to keep repeating until you get it right. And that's my fear in this life. Wait a minute, what am I not doing? Why am I experiencing the same worries and fears? I want to get it. I want to get it and make it better so I don't have to repeat maybe next time. I don't know.
You know what just popped into my head was that it's not so much. Well, I guess there's a couple of things that just popped into my head, Valerie. One is that when we have a fear about something, we have the opportunity to reframe it and say, instead of, I'm scared, I'm not going to be able to provide, we can reframe it and say, I trust that I will be able to provide. I will be able to put myself into frequency or vibration with the universe to provide. But the other thing I was thinking is that while you're at work, you're unavailable to your family, or I'm sure that's how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
Because I too worked so much that there were times that now I look back and wish I hadn't. I felt like I gave up important time in my children or my husband's or other family members' growth
Hmm.
for whatever reason, whatever they were going through at the time, that I feel like I wasn't fully present for that because I was very similar to you, so worried about, in my experience, not reliving an impoverished childhood. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't have that again. And I think maybe our lesson, since you and I have a similar experience, is maybe being more available and that we're worth it.
Hmm.
We're worth having that connection with our family members and our children so that we can enjoy them and they can enjoy us, as opposed to our constantly feeling like what we need to provide is material.
Right. I know.
I don't know. That's where I've come from in kicking my own ass over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So I'm just sharing the ass kicking. But the other side of me is, what if I hadn't done those things?
I know you wouldn't be you today, or
Right.
I
So
know.
maybe that's the wheel of the lesson, is having the experience, learning from it, and instead of looking back and regretting,
Hmm.
maybe just are simply saying, I'm aware of it now, and now I have time to make changes. I don't know.
And I feel like I'm doing that now. I'm doing that now. I'm taking more time because it's funny because my friend many times said, "Hey, let's go here. Why don't you take off this day and let's go?" And she would joke and say, "I'm like, I can't. You don't understand. I got to work." And she's like, "You own the business." And I said, "But you don't understand. When you own the business, it's even more vital that you're there." And she's like, "Tell your boss she's an asshole."
I was just going to say, is your boss a biatch?
Boss is strict. No, but now, you know what? Those memories are more important than a day of work. I used to be so bad about that, would never take off for anything. You know what? I see how fast the kids are growing up, and even my own life, it's fleeting. You got to make some memories. You got to put a dent on your own life, not just work, work, work. So I
And it
hope
is so cliche, right? People say on your epitaph, on your headstone, it doesn't say, I wish I had worked more.
everyone said the opposite. So I'm going to go with it. Yeah.
Exactly. But to to your point too, you worked because you did have a business and you wanted to be a reliable business owner and you wanted to be successful. So there is a trade-off that I think, if we're aware of, maybe that makes the difference, where we make ourselves more available at other times while we're still building something. I don't know, because the thing is, Valerie, like, I grew up so incredibly poor that it scared me for the future, right?
Hmm.
And I mean poor in this lifetime.
Hmm.
So, and you had these experiences of being very poor or desperate
Hmm.
other lifetimes. So we both can relate to that feeling of not wanting to experience that desperation again. So how do we keep that at bay? I don't know. Maybe that goes back to trusting the universe, but there's more to making money than just trust.
Right. Right. But I do believe in that's where, probably going off topic, but it's all related. I believe when you give, you get back. It's like karma, whatever. And when you are generous, people are generous to you. And it's not the ones that you give to, it just comes to you. I do believe in that big time because every time something comes up and I tend to, it's not that it's all the time, but like donate to something, I then see not too long after that, I'm gifted something. I really do believe that it comes back to you, I'm not even looking for it.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's that frequency, right? We
yeah,
change that frequency of generosity as opposed to fear of running out.
right. And I think the opposite is true. that's what I say. You put the fear out there, you're going to get things to be fearful of, so you got to watch, how you think, because that can dictate your life. So I think if people practice that, the ones that say, oh, you guys are talking crazy, try it, see what happens.
Right? Can it hurt
It can't
to
hurt.
just change your mindset and try to reframe and catch yourself every time you think, oh, no, no, I'm not thinking that way now.
Mm.
I'm
Yep.
going to trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So I have one more question for you, and that is, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but it seems like things come and go in cycles, right? Just like in hairstyling, everybody wanted perms when we were kids. And now everybody wants blowouts. And, or is that just me?
No.
Like short hair was in, edgy cuts, bobs were in. Like, I've noticed the same thing in the spiritual world, where it seems like everybody wants to be in touch with mediumship and talking with people on the other side. And then we go through this big energy healing because Valerie and I both did Reiki training together. And I wouldn't give up any of those things. But I have noticed that past life regressions have been more so on people's minds, or maybe I'm just noticing it, but than ever before. Why do you think? I mean, you were instantly drawn to that. Oh, I want to do a past life regression. Why do you think that there is so much interest, or at least what was your interest in doing that?
Well, I read a book one time. It was someone gave it to me just to read, and it was a book on a psychologist or hypnotherapist or something who did not believe in past life regression and was not putting their patients under to figure out why they mistakenly uncovered these past life regressions by putting their people on under hypnosis. And I was fascinated by this book, and I wish I could remember the name of it. But like I said, this hypnotist wrote the book saying I was not a believer of this until my patients were under and they were talking about something, and then they, I don't know, started talking in a language they never learned. Then he studied that. He stumbled upon it. Even someone was born with these port wine stains or whatever, and they go back and they find out that they were shot in the face, and they come to in this lifetime with this port wine. And this doctor just couldn't believe the correlation between this lifetime and the last lifetime with these scars, or someone having terrible knee pain, might have had a knee like a problem in a past life. It's just weird to me, and I thought that's fascinating. So, oh yeah, I'll try it. I wasn't looking to do it. I was there with you that day, and I thought, yeah, I want to try that. But I was so excited. I sat there and I thought, honestly, in my mind, nothing was going to happen. I wasn't going to be able to do it, but I was open to it. And darn if it didn't happen. Like, that was amazing. And I don't know. And maybe people, one person talks about it to another and to another, and that's why it's become this big thing. Besides all the shows that are on TV now, people are saying about ghosts and all these psychic mediums. Maybe that's where it stems from. I'm not sure.
So for you, it was literally just curiosity
Yeah.
and wondering,
Mhm.
yeah, could this have been? Because I remember you and I tried to do a past life regression. It was in a group setting and it was freezing cold, and we were in this public library,
Freezing. Yeah. Uh-huh.
and everybody else was having experiences, and you and I were just sitting there like,
No.
eh, can we eat?
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
If someone is interested in having a past life regression, I'm kind of springing this one on you. What would you tell them to do in order to have a good experience? What recommendation would you give?
That's an interesting question. I would say it go to someone that has a good following, like anything else. You're going to buy something on Amazon, you're going to look at how many stars it has. I believe in gypsy psychics, like everybody, like, but there are good people, there are bad people,
Oh,
so find someone reputable. But, go with an open mind. That's all I can say, because I didn't think it was possible for me, but I did have an open mind. And I think if you don't, you're not going to, just like if you're not open to signs, you're not going to get them.
oh, I love that. That's a
Yeah.
great advice.
Yeah.
So thank you, my friend, for sharing your time with me. Thank you, thank you,
Thank
thank you so
you.
much.
Okay.
The mystical magic doesn't have to end here. Please check out the Mystical Mermaid Lounge podcast, a safe space for all spiritual seekers, which I co host with Chloe Brown. If you or someone you know has a past life experience you'd like to share, please email me at Chione, Chione, at quantumjourneygo.com. And remember, while we can't relive the past, together we can heal it. Thank you so much for listening. If you are interested in my services, visit me at www.quantumjourneygo.com or drop me a note at pastlivescafe.buzzsprout.com. Stay well and be present.